Happy anniversary.
They are so beautiful. Huh, Arnold?
Mm-hmm. So what did you guys get each other?
Yeah, 31. What gift is that? Silver, ivory?
Oh, we got each other the new cable subscription.
Oh, great.
It's a lot of channels.
If you're wondering,
It feels like
Arnold and I aren't going towards anything anymore.
I want a real marriage again.
I think for that to happen, we would have to risk everything just to shake things up.
It's not impossible, and it's not too late.
When you want to go to intensive couples counseling in Maine,
The flight leaves tomorrow. I'm going to be on it.
I hope you're happy.
Hope Springs.
Yes, Hope Springs Eternal. Or,
Down with dope, up with hope. That's what I have to say. That's my introduction. Hope you like it. I'll be here every, what's today? Tuesday.
and by up, you mean up with Tommy Lee Jones's penis.
That is right. Wow. Anyway, where Tommy Lee is hoping something springs up from his nether regions. Yeah. Hopefully that's a film we'll never see.
Shit, I feel like we almost saw it.
We almost did. But I wanted to ask you this: like, what is the number one fear you have about being married at a very old age?
I guess that your wife would go crazy and become a cat lady, or join Amway, or I guess you'd think it would be that like your penis would stop working.
Okay,
but at the same time, it's like, well, even if it worked, you're just going to be having sex with an old lady. How much fun is that? At least that gives you an excuse to get out of it.
That's a good point. Is that your answer?
Sure.
All right. Can I tell you mine?
What's yours?
My biggest fear is shit in the bed.
Okay, that's that.
Because I tell you what,
you're right.
That is the one thing to where when it is okay with your significant other, you know, that you've been married to for like, let's say like 30 plus years, just like this couple.
Yeah.
When shitting the bed becomes such a normal thing that, you know, your old lady is just used to it, that's when it's time to fucking hang everything up.
Dude, that's a major medical problem. That you get, nobody should be getting used to that.
Yeah.
That's when you need to see a doctor or sleep with a bedpan or something.
And as much as I like to say, you know what? When you really think about it, what is wrong with shit in the bed? You know, I get to shit where I sleep, and guess what? My old lady's going to clean it up. So what am I complaining about? No, I'm sorry. It's the fact that you still are shitting the bed because you eventually going to have to just live with the fact that, man, I shit myself every day.
I would like to clear up for the folks at home that no one in this movie actually shits the bed.
No, but it's something lacking though. It was the one thing I was like, when are they going to bring this up in the movie? Come on, man. This is what I think about.
Oh, come on. Now they're not octogenarians. Well, shit, I don't know how old Tommy Lee Jones is.
I think
he looks more ancient every time I see him.
Oh, dude, ancient looks at him and goes, "Fuck." You know? I mean, shit. I don't know how many more ways I can describe. The last time I described him, you used a melting candle.
Yeah,
so,
no. And as looking at him in this, I was thinking that too. It's weird because it was just like a year or two ago that Meryl Streep's in a movie with Alec Baldwin when she's playing his wife. Mm-hmm. You know, a good romantic comedy where they're having sex all the time, and now here she is married to Tommy Lee Jones, who I know has to be significigantly older than Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
at least he better be looking like that.
I know he has to be. I mean, because it's like he is like, if I had a Tommy Lee Jones figure from like the fucking early years, put that shit in the microwave.
Yeah.
Took that shit out, and like 2 minutes later, it looks like the Tommy Lee Jones with glasses that we have now.
And I'm sure he'd be like, "Hey, John, I'm just happy I'm still alive."
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
I can't say the same
Pops.
for the Wow. I would love to know what Tommy Lee's skin is thinking right now. Like, please, we're trying to escape this guy's fucking skull, and nothing's working.
Now, host, what's this movie about?
You know what? I'll tell you what it's about. It's about this couple. It's the story of Kay Soames and Arnold Soames. Kay's played by Meryl Streep, and Arnold is played by the incredible melting man, Tommy Lee Jones. And the thing is, they've been married for like 30 plus years.
Right.
And you can tell from the get-go that Meryl Streep's character, she's not really happy. She's putting on the face of a happy wife, but deep down you can tell she's struggling. She's struggling to keep this marriage together.
They're an old married couple who's settled in their ways and used to each other. But Tommy Lee Jones is a lot more settled. He's more like that good old boy he works, he comes home, he reads his paper, he watches his golf, he eats his eggs, he's on the couch so he falls asleep, and he goes to bed.
He's Archie Bunker settled.
Yes.
Without the racism.
Yeah, exactly.
at least what
for a little bit we got to see.
Yeah, for what we got to see.
If some black people had shown up in the movie, it might have been different.
That's the sequel.
But Meryl Streep, she's like, all right, this is what we do, but golly, I want more. And it's, like, hey, man, maybe you want more, maybe you can't do it, but like, even if she goes to touch him, he recoils. Like, hey, listen, I'm kind of tired. I need to go to bed now. He's like, you want me to give you a hug? Why? Why would you do that? What? No. You go into your room. You go right on over there on the other side of the house. Go to sleep.
Yeah, you do your thing. You let me do mine.
Let me do my thing. Can I come lay in the bed with you? Why would you do that? What for? What's that supposed to accomplish?
What? Do you owe me money? What's going on here? Why do you keep bothering me? Why do you keep talking to me? Yeah, and you start to realize, wow, they're living their lives like I imagine like a lot of people do at a certain amount of time, especially after you raise kids where you're still those wardens in that prison and you ain't got no more prisoners. Well, so it's like, well, now what do we do?
Well,
that's go through the motions.
It's easy for that to happen to couples where like they're a couple, they're in love, and then they have kids. Okay, now they're parents.
The kids fucking strip that shit away from them.
The kids move on, and they don't remember how to get back to the first mode. They're still stuck in like parent mode, and it's like, oh well, I guess we just don't do nothing.
I guess I'll just keep wiping this table until somebody eats on it.
Yeah, you just
and then I'll clean up after them so they can give me something to do for the rest of my day. But yeah, and that's kind of like the sad fact. But the thing is, she does have hope because she finds I think she like finds a brochure or something where she can go seek out marriage counseling.
Yeah.
by
Steve Carell.
by Steve Carell. Yes, by Michael from
The Office.
Yeah, from The Office. Because anytime that motherfucker wears a suit, that's all I think about. It's Michael. It's Michael from The Office.
And this is Steve Carell in his least Michael role. Probably his straightest, like not even goofy at all.
Oh, no.
Kind of role.
He's all, and I don't want to make this sound like a bad thing, but it's his most like dead, like robotic, like no. I don't want to. I want to say like no emotion besides what is presented to him.
Well, it's.
You get what I'm saying?
Honestly, for me, it's one of my favorite performances of his because he's not playing. I mean,
he's not playing a character.
He's not playing a character. I mean, he's a therapist, so he has to be, emotionally neutral.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word. Yeah, he's very emotionally neutral.
But he's able to pull it off in a way that's believable. Mm-hmm. Doesn't go over the top. Every time you think that, here's a chance for him to go over the top or look goofy, he doesn't do it. He plays it in a way that's you totally buy into it.
No, he does, and he should win an Oscar for it because sitting in the theater. I wasn't sitting in a movie theater seat. I felt like I was sitting in his office.
Yeah.
And every time he asked a question, I was answering it. I was like slowly.
I know, like, Coase, he's not talking to you.
What? Oh, shit. And I was like, wow, this guy, he's really good. I was
he's
Jesus.
good. I relived some of my childhood.
I know. I didn't even know I had I'm a robot. I didn't even know I had a childhood.
But yeah, that's the thing. She's like, you know what? We need to see this therapist. It's in a little town in Maine. It's a retreat. We're going to go for the weekend. And Tommy Jones like, why would we do something like that? That's a lot of money. I don't want to spend that money. That guy's a quack. He's a shyster. Yeah, they just gonna take advantage of you. You go if you want to. I ain't going. She's like,
I'm gonna go to spill.com. I'm gonna see how long a couple of Coens is. Only an hour, man. Fuck you guys. Why the fuck? Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah, and she just pushes where it's like, look, I already bought the tickets. You can come. If you don't go, that's fine. But I might not be back. Mm-hmm. And even like his buddy, he's like, "Shh, you be stupid and do that. That's stupid. You go do that." Yeah. His buddy at his work, like, "Yeah, man, I was like you too. back when I was married before I got divorced.
I always love that guy. I always love that they throw that guy. And It's like, hey man, you got to do what you got to do to keep him happy. And it's like you always need that guy to remind you, dumbass. I think the divorce rate would be through the roof if you didn't have that one buddy.
I gotta say, man, Tommy Lee Jones, like at first, I would say but I'm just gonna say a general you just fucking hate him.
You do. You really do. He's an ass.
He is. He takes him on that trip, and all he does is complain and bitch about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, motherfucker, at some point, just get used to the fact that you're here, make the best of it. Just stop.
He can't. I know.
You hate people like that who come along on a trip you want to do, something you want to do, and all they do is just tear it down and complain. It's like, go home.
Yeah.
Don't come with me.
I know. It's like they want to. It's like they feel like they're needed by you to bitch.
Yeah.
Just so it's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go on this trip with you, but you're gonna hear me fucking bitch throughout there. As soon as right when we're on the plane, I'm gonna bitch, and when we get off, I'm gonna find something to bitch about because you know what? You need that. You need that fucking torture, you know? Because I'm gonna be sitting at home thinking it. I'd rather not think it. I'd rather say it. So I'll stick with. I'll stick with you, pal.
Yeah, it's just I mean, for her it's unbearable, but even as an audience member, it's unbearable. It's just like, God damn it.
And it makes you. And it makes the great thing about it though is that you really feel for this woman. I mean, you understand where she's coming from.
Oh, yeah.
You understand that, it's only because they had that long history that they're still together.
Right.
That place reminds me of when we drove down to see your mother before we were married. That was the first time you said it. First time you said you love me in that little motel. Before you said it, well, I didn't want to be the one who said it first. But I had to say it. And so every time we talked on the phone, I would say it to the phone after we hung up.
Oh, I figured if I ever said anything like that, you'd take off running.
What?
You could have had your pick. I didn't think you'd ever want me.
I never wanted anything more.
But the funniest thing is that, when he eventually has to go see this therapist, you're like, oh, maybe this guy just, maybe he's just an ass to her. No. No.
Yeah.
You expect this guy to get out of therapy mode and get into Chuck Norris mode.
Like, when was the last time you gave her a hug? Why? Why is that your business? I don't have to tell you nothing.
What are you, a cop?
Well, yeah. Oh, you got this nice place. Yeah, I tell you my problems. You make me look like an asshole, and you just take my money. Pfft, come on, let's just get out of here. We don't need this. It's like, man, listen, this better go somewhere. Now the thing is, this movie would just like become tedious. And actually, for me, it was teetering on the brink of that. But it comes that point where Tommy Lee Jones does break down and gives his side of the story and say, oh, that's interesting. All right, we'll look at this in a different way. Then Meryl Streep gives her side of it. All right. So from there, it's kind of like, once it kind of breaks this barrier, you're watching old couples therapy.
Yeah, you really are. You really are.
That's what it comes down to. And it's therapy light. I mean, it's one thing to say like, hey, you can't solve your problems in a TV show or movie, but it really does take a light touch with everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, a little bit too much for me. I'm like, look, they got 30 years of stuff. I was hoping they would get into something deeper than what they did. It stayed so surface that it kind of bothered me.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I was still somewhat engaged.
Yeah.
I was engaged by it, and maybe because it was the performances that really made me like invest a little bit more into these characters than I should. Because I mean, I was at the beginning, I was like just sitting there going, okay, why do I give a shit about this?
Yeah.
Why do I care? Yeah, I feel like a fly on the wall. Listening to these fucking people's problems, and you know my motto. But the thing is that I just watching these characters play off each other. I was just like really engaged by it, and I don't know if it's because maybe I feel like I've met these people before.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I obviously I've had friends that have had older parents. And like seeing their family life portrayed in this movie, I was like, wow, this is kind of creepy because this is like at least several people that I know. This is their parent. These people are their parents.
Sure.
And listening to it, I was like, you always assume, man, there has to be more to this than just, what they're giving you on the surface here is like, this person threw out their back, so it makes them not want to have, it made the husband not want to have sex anymore. But when you know the people I have, you realize, wow, that's it. That's what makes you sleep in 2 separate rooms, and you've been doing that for years, just because it all of a sudden became a routine.
Right.
And I find that a little bit more tragic than somebody who has like the regular baggage that you'd see on goddamn Jerry Springer.
Sure.
To where when it's something as simple as like, oh, I injured myself and I just, I couldn't sleep with my wife in the same bed. I'm like, wow, that's on a whole nother level of kind of crazy to me. Which is why I think I sympathize with this, especially when they get more and more into the story.
Well, see, that's the thing with something like what you're talking about. Like that's the surface thing where it seems like, oh, just something like that. You guys kind of fell into it, but usually a therapist can dig just deeper to where it's like it will stem to something where you go like, oh, whoa, okay, this really has legs that nobody really saw, like issues that never got addressed. And had it gone there, which I was hoping, I was like, it was right on the edge of it, I think I would have liked it more. Now, I will agree with you. I did like the performances of everybody, especially the 3 leads. I mean, hate Tommy Lee Jones, whatever. He delivers a great performance.
He really does.
And Meryl Streep, she's Meryl Streep. She's always good. But every time I found that it was doing something I would like, it had just like the worst soundtrack.
Oh,
that music would just come in and undercut every emotional scene.
God damn, you were right. I'm glad you brought that because I was like, I hope, because that was the one thing when I left the theater, it was like, I need to remember to bring up this fucking shitty soundtrack straight from the bowels of hell.
Yeah.
To where it's like, you can't find fucking elevator music this bad.
I know.
To where it's obtrusive and it's almost like, and it's almost a lazy way of trying to tell you how these characters are feeling.
Yes, exactly.
Or it's like, they have, I think one of the songs is from Cher. I can't remember the goddamn song.
Might have been.
It
was just like really trite songs. Yeah,
I'm feeling alone. I'm walking by the water. Why does he treat me this way? I can't stand it. It's like,
you were so right.
Really?
Yeah, it was to that point where it's like, you're not helping.
Yeah, you have A caliber actors,
Yeah.
and they're emoting all of this. You don't need that shitty fucking soundtrack there.
Yeah, this director David Frankel.
Yeah, David Frankel.
He's done a lot of things that are popular, but I just think are just kind of pap. It's just The Devil Wears Prada. I know a lot of people like that movie, but for me, I was just like, man, this movie is just so surface. Like he
Never
just,
saw it. I agree with you.
But well, and the thing is, I realized I came in this movie with high expectations because I was looking at like I mentioned before, the Alec Baldwin movie with Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin. It's Complicated, or As Good as It Gets. And I know that's As Good as It Gets was an Oscar caliber movie. But looking at it from the commercials, I was thinking like, oh, this will be like that. And it's really not up to that level at all. It's more it's a very light movie. I keep coming back to that, but I was just kind of let down by that because there's so much there to work with, and I think the director or whoever wrote it just was not. They just weren't there. They didn't have the chops to bring it to where it could have gone. One thing I had to laugh at because the part where therapy does start to work. They start trying to do things, sexual things, and to the point where, hey man, they're starting to have sex, and I was like, you know what, man, good for them. They always like to see the young, pretty people having sex, but older people have sex too, and that's all right, and
they need to show that.
Yeah, they need to show that. And you guys go for it. But there's a point where it went on a little too long.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, right at the point where they were about to go to full penetration, I was like, all right, that's enough. Yeah. Turn it off.
Yeah,
cut.
Watching it, I was like, wow, this is the most daring thing a director has ever done to get 2 old ass people to have sex with each other. I was like, is he gonna? This is a game changer now. It's a game changer. Wow, he's really taking it that far.
I mean, if it was one bold thing he did, it was that.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm going to show it. It's like, all right, well, okay, now he's the part where they cut away. No, wait. Cut away. I don't want to see him stick it in. Stop it.
You know, when it does cut away, I did tell myself, thank God. I was like, you know what? I'm sure that game changer will happen at some point down the road, but I don't need to see it today. No. I'm not in the mood. You know, I'm sorry. Even with Meryl Streep, where I was like looking at Meryl Streep, where she's trying to be seductive, you know, at the beginning of the movie, you see her desperately trying to get fucking Tommy Lee Jones, his skin to tighten up, and nothing is happening, nothing's working. I mean, to where there's a part where she's wearing her nightie, and her nipples are poking out, and I was just sitting there going, fuck, I can't wait to fucking rent this and pause it. I'm a dirty little robot. Oh, I don't care. But man, she was gorgeous. You know, you talk about old actresses where there's times when I just forget, wow, you know, Meryl Streep at her age looks pretty damn good.
Sure.
I know, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like Corey
Coleman.
That's his shtick. I get that.
That's his
I'm
thing.
not trying to steal his thunder, but I mean, for the first time, I was like, wow, you know what? She is pretty gorgeous. Like, what is this guy's problem? I don't get it.
But when he finally does, you know, give his side of things, I was like, oh. Well, yeah, man, fuck her.
Which is as soon as the movie gets you to a point where you're like, man, yeah, fuck this guy. If I saw Tommy Lee on the street, I'd punch him. Go, fuck you. Leave that fucking woman alone. Let her go. Release her. But when you hear his side, you're like, oh man, yeah, you God, I'm glad I didn't punch him.
I wasn't clear on how things, you know, the resolution to it, because I was like waiting for the resolution. Like I was like, man, they got started late, and I needed to go, and I was like, all right, I know this only has like 2 minutes left.
Don't worry, that's why I'm here. You know all those resolutions I had for The Dark Knight Rises. I got them. I'm ready.
The thing is, it's one of these tricky deals where I want to ask you about it, but I don't want to spoil the ending.
Oh, then well,
so I guess I can't. Just to me, I thought I would stay until the point. I was like, all right, this is where the big reveal on what this is really all about, like why they aren't, you know, communicating, like they lost their gap. And the point where it should have been explained, it was almost like, oh no, it's all fixed. And I was like, well, yeah, but that doesn't tell me why this started in the you son of a bitch.
And you know what? With that, I mean, I think it's one of those movies where people, because I mean, I'm sometimes I'm that person where I'm like, I can kind of see, I like to think I can see in between the lines.
Yeah.
As far as like a relationship like this, especially when it gets so spelled out and it's so basic, you know, where you start to become the therapist and you're like, all right, I understand why this is, to where that's how I felt with this. Like with that ending, it sort of made sense to me, you know, but I mean, it's all in the context of what I was given.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone else will pick up on that, but you know, if they don't, then maybe that's a sign that it's not that great of a movie.
Yeah,
but for me, it kind of worked. You're right, though. I mean, they should usually spell it out.
Yeah, I felt like it was giving me one of those endings where I'm like, so why did this happen? Why are you worried about why it happened? Look,
it's not about the why.
Yeah, they're happy now. Just leave it alone. Stop.
Or are they?
Right. That's what I say. Like, look, if you don't get to the bottom of this, you're just going to wind up back there again eventually.
It's going to come all full circle.
Yeah,
but that's
all right.
That's for Hope Springs 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yes.
I mean, that's the thing. You know, this ended up being a little bit more of a chick flick than I'd hoped, and I know with those, you got to have a happy ending.
Don't say that, because I kind of like this movie. I feel like a little bitch.
Oh,
but what would you give it?
You know what? Once again, it's an August movie. It gets a rental from me because I really expected more, and every time I thought it had that chance to do it, I'm like, this is the point. It can launch. It can be that movie I wanted to be. That soundtrack would come in and be like, no, stop that.
You were going to give it a matinee, but the feelings weren't there to stay. So you got to be true to you. Give it rental before you turn to glue.
See right there, you almost had it. And music killed it.
That's yeah.
Yeah, it just ended up being a rental for me, and I'm disappointed.
Oh man, you know, because I know we've actually had this tonight. We've had a string of rentals.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. There is one movie though that I don't think is going to get a rental from me.
Okay.
And it was this one.
Yeah.
I have to admit that I think the performances were so good. The
Yeah.
chemistry. I mean, the chemistry between Meryl Streep and Tommy Lee were not the drummer. Tommy Lee Jones. It was just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
And when you throw in Steve Carell into the mix and just see Tommy Lee, going back and forth with him, I mean, I was enjoying it. I was really enjoying it. I really felt bad for Meryl Streep. I always wanted to pat her on her shoulder.
I know.
And go, sweetie, everything's going to be all right. Look, he's such an asshole. His face is trying to get away from him, all right? So, come on. It's not that bad. But, I mean, and that's the thing. I was engaged by the performances, but I also enjoyed the story, especially the small moments,
Yeah.
to where they're really trying to work things out, and you see that, and the way it's presented without the shitty music. So I mean, I was actually engaged by a movie that I really should have been sitting there going, why do I give a fuck? Why am I here? But it didn't do that to me. I mean, there's something about it that it had its charm. That's the word I'll use. It had a lot of charm to it.
It did have that.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny because everything you're saying, it's not like I disagree with it, but it just wasn't working as well for me.
Because I get where you're coming from too, man. I really do.
And the charm was there. It really was. There was those moments that were charming.
Well,
but that just kept. I don't want to keep harping on the soundtrack, but
you try to give it a matinee,
was
but you
killing
can't do it anywhere. I'll stop.
yeah,
But
please.
Hey, I'm recording this. I'll isolate it and make lots of money. I was going to let you were going to be my producer. Screw you, pal.
Let me turn into the next double rainbow all the way across the sky.
I'm going to wait for your face to get away from your skull, all right? No, but with that charm, I will give it a matinee. Huh?
Wow.
So yeah, I guess.
Wow. So co-host is a big pussy after all.
Hey!
Oh, I mean, nah, I can't recover from that.
My pussy starts to hurt. No, sorry. No, all right, that's it. That's it. We're done.
Arnold, did you have fantasies
The threesome.
with?
Carol.
Carol with the corgis?
Hi! You got another corgi.
I know.
But three's the limit.